Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is Wealth Wednesday and we get to learn from Daine Clark. Daine Clark, we are very fortunate to get to learn from him. He is doing a ton of amazing things with this business. He's been very, very successful. And so to be able to learn from someone who is absolutely killing it is an awesome advantage that we get to take advantage of. Some of Daine's history: before Renatus, he was working two jobs. He was actually kind of shy at the time, and he was working in the Apple store, but he was in the back. And also he was a roofer, and he fell into roofing. That's what his dad did. And with fair skin and red hair, that was definitely not his cup of tea, being in the sun all day. And so at the time, he was barely making ends meet. And he started to look for other income opportunities. And after finding Renatus, he plugged into the Renatus system and he listened to his mentor. And after studying and applying the velocity banking to pay down debt, he used that as leverage to acquire a duplex. He lived in one side of the duplex and rented out the other. And fast forward to today, he's now raised over $9 million from investors to lend on various real estate transactions. And his secret to that is consistency and frequency. He's grown his team. He's now a PIT team member, meaning he's a President's Advisory Council member in training. He is recognized by Bob Snyder, our CEO, as a key leader. And I'm excited to hear what he has to share with us today. Good morning, Daine.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Thank you so much for that intro. And good morning, everybody. Good morning, Renatus Nation. I'll have to apologize. I've been super sick the last 24 hours and throwing up and all kinds of that. So feeling a little bit down. So I apologize if I'm not as animated today, but good morning. And as you all know, or if you're new on the call, in the very beginning, I love hearing from you guys. For one, it gives inspiration to others to hear what other people are doing and fighting through struggles, but also helps you, for myself, like where I keep myself accountable. So if you're on Facebook, then just chat in the number that I'm about to ask you guys for, or if you're on Zoom, then come off of mute using *6, or even just use the chat. And share with us, how many people were you able to get in front of Renatus, whether it was intro meetings, follow-ups, house tours, one-on-ones, you name it, Zoom calls, you name it. How many people were you able to get in front of? So I'm going to jump over on my calendar really fast and do the same. So let's see, 1, 2. 3, 4. Cool. I had 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and chat that in there. Let's see. So 4 peeps. So for me, and this is different for everybody. If you're at different stages, then you might count like intro meetings, things like that. For me, I just count how many one-on-ones I did. So I don't count how many first exposures. I don't count, because I know that if I'm doing a low amount of one-on-ones, then I know that I need to get more people to intros. And so for me, that's my favorite one to count, because then I can go back at the end of the year and I can say, oh, here's how many one-on-ones I did, and here's how much money I made. And came down to like it was just shy of $900 per one-on-one. So let's go through the chat real fast. So Levi had 1, Sandra had 1. Great job, guys. Doug and Debbie had 1 coming this week. Congratulations, guys. Sheena had 6. Awesome. And Warboy had, I call it the goose egg, which means you're being honest with yourself, which is something that attracts people to you. If you're honest with yourself and if you're honest with them, I mean, when I was new, I even, and sorry, Anne, I don't mean to single you out here, but when I was new, even when I was looking at getting into real estate deals, like I would still straight up tell people like, oh, I haven't done a real estate deal. I'm just getting started, you know? And it's not a bad thing. It's absolutely not a bad thing that you're just getting started. Or that you know, that you hadn't completed something that week. You're working, you're learning, right? That's what we're all doing here. So let's see. Rini, awesome, had 7. Great job. Keely had 4. Rhonda had 4. I myself had 4. Jeremy had 3. Congratulations. Amy had 5 and 3 101s scheduled from that 5. So congratulations. Another thing, like I say, where I like to just track my 101s, because like Amy said here, 5 probably to an intro meeting, follow-up house tour, something like that, and then 3 101s came from that. Chuck had 1, congratulations. 2 1-to-1s for Rini. Sheena, let's see, I'm headed to a one-on-one meeting right now. Congratulations. Keely, congratulations. David and Gilda had 2. Congratulations to you guys as well. And then let me jump over to the Facebook, just so we make sure that those people are not being left out. So bam, bam, bam. And it's so funny. I always hear my own voice. Oh, they're still, it's so funny. Facebook is a few minutes behind us. So they're on Facebook, they are still listening to the Money Matrix if you're on Facebook. But anyway, so the next thing I love hearing from you guys is fielding a question. Somebody come off of mute that was working or is working with somebody, and they might be struggling, like, what do I do next? Or what do I do if this happens? Or where can I go from where I am now with this person? And let's get that question answered for you, because I guarantee other people have the same exact question. And so if somebody will come off of mute, and you know who you are, you've got somebody that you're working with, you need a little bit of help, a little bit of whatever it is, but just come off of mute so we can have a conversation here, and let's chat. I mean, you can chat or you can do the chat if you want to. Just type that up real fast and we'll read it, but would love to have a conversation if we can. So *6, come off of mute, or if you are on the Facebook, then you click the little unmute button, or sorry, not Facebook. If you're on the Zoom app, then you hit the little unmute button, and we'll be able to hear you, or I'll watch for those chats. And the people on Facebook are a little bit behind us, so I won't check that for now. So you know who you are. Go ahead and come off. We're waiting for you.
Hey, Daine. Chuck here out of Nebraska.
What's up, Chuck?
So
Nebraska.
Yeah. I'm trying to build a community out here, and it's been fun.
Nice, dude. Congratulations. The opportunity is huge out there, because a lot of people haven't heard this yet. So congratulations, Chuck. How can we help you today?
Yeah, I just did my one-on-one. I ain't had one in a while. And I was trying to get the guy to do a bam bam, and he wasn't wanting to reschedule. So I didn't know where to go from there.
Okay. Tell me, run through the conversation with me. Like, what happened? Right, in the moment that you were trying to do a bam bam.
Well, we both I had to go, so I was like, okay, this is, and he's already talked to a few people about real estate investing. He had never heard of Renatus until I told him about it, and then I basically just showed him the website on what we have. And since I had to go, I was like, I showed him the cash flow quadrant that Richard Stock talks about, and said we need people from the left side to the right side. And then I was like, okay, so we'll reschedule for next week at the same time. And he's like, I'll let you know Friday. I'm like, why can't we just reschedule for next week? He's like, well, I'll let you know Friday, because I told him that we also have the live event out of Utah via Zoom, and I'm gonna send them the information for that today. So I told him I'd send the information. So I think he's waiting until after the Zoom meeting, but I'm not sure.
does he have, does he know Renatus's price yet?
Yes.
So he's seen the price. What did he see before he saw price? So here, in fact, here I'm going to share my screen really fast so we can see this, because this is good. This is really good. This is going to be a great learning moment. So let me share my screen. So in his timeline, you know, like when you very first like create intrigue, if you will, where the guy was like, yeah, let's talk, right? So he was interested because somehow it piqued his interest. And then he saw price, bam, $20,000, right? Anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000. He sees price. So what did he see value-wise before he actually saw the price?
He just
you mentioned website was one.
Yeah, I showed him the website and what all we offer, and he's like, "So how much does all this cost?" is what he asked. I was like, "Well, if you want all this, it's like 20,000," and I would like recommend it because you said you want to know how to. He wants to know how to assign contracts, which I haven't really done that, and I was like, "Well, I go all in, and then you get 6 one-on-one coaching sessions with the coach who's been doing it for 13 years."
Okay, so he expressed desire of assigning contracts.
Yeah, because he's been working with a mentor, and when he went out driving for dollars, and he's got somebody he's negotiating with, but he wants before to sign. He wants to know how to sign the contract. And just like
okay, which to me sounds like if he's working with a mentor, he's already paid something. Is that correct?
He didn't say whether he paid anything or not.
Okay. Usually that means that they have. I would guess. If I were to guess, if somebody says, "Oh yeah, I had a mentor that's done driving for dollars with me," you know, I just met with somebody like this the other day, where she paid, thousands of dollars, absolutely thousands of dollars to have somebody come out and spend, you know, some time with her, drive for dollars, go down to the courthouse, you know, things like that, pull some leads. So his desire is to assign contracts. He's had a mentor driving for dollars, but they didn't do anything, or they didn't do enough to help him get started. So when he was talking to you, he had some intrigue. So tell me about the conversation that created the intrigue where he's like, "Chuck, I would love to meet with you."
Actually, I had a shirt that I made up so that I could walk around my workplace, since you're not really supposed to solicit your business there. It says "Got Real Estate Investing Education," and it has my phone number. And the guy like seeing it, he's like, "Oh, you're into real estate investing?" I was like, "Oh yeah." It's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be an architect for school." And it's like just made a joke, and it's like, "Oh well, maybe you'll be building my houses someday." And then it was later on that he called me and he says, "Hey, I'm into this stuff. Can we meet sometime?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I set up a time. And
so you guys met up, and basically you went straight to the website?
Yeah, I think it was after a few questions. I kind of asked him, why did he want to get into real estate? And he said, "Oh, I'm doing the driving dollars." And he set up his LLC out of Nevada, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah, and then he's told me he's worked with a mentor, did driving for dollars. He actually gave me an app.
So he has definitely, paid somebody, because somebody sold him on the Nevada stuff. Somebody has sold him on, so he's already invested. I mean, I'm 99% sure that he has invested in some kind of real estate tuition education stuff. Just by, those couple of things. If he set up a Nevada LLC, somebody taught him and sold him on that. And he's driving for dollars with somebody else. I mean, most people don't just do that for free. Okay, so you guys talked a little bit, and then showed him the website, showed him the price.
I don't think.
And then tried to a bam.
dollars with
Sorry, say
anybody.
again.
I don't think he's driving for dollars with anyone. His mentors are like out of state, and he has to
Okay.
talk to them over Zoom. So
Okay. So in essence, he's got Zoom mentors. Sounds like maybe a Rich Dad Poor Dad or something like that, potentially. So right off the bat, can you already see what's going on here in his mind, just from drawing this out?
well, if he's already paid, he's like, I got to drop another 20 grand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would be
So
my
that's one thing. But also, the only thing he's seen is a website. Because I mean, anybody can see a website. Anybody can create a website. So he's heard one website, and then he's heard your testimonial. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So typically, like in my business, the only reason anybody, because you essentially you got to stack the reasons as to why anybody would pay $20,000 to be a part of us. And so typically what I like to do before they ever learn about the 20,000 is get to an intro meeting. Whether that's on Zoom, like Richard Stock, I'm pretty sure he does that every single week, right? Where he will stream it on Zoom. Is that correct?
Yeah. I've seen it a couple times. This way I have an idea of how long it is, then I can prepare him for it.
Yeah, perfect. So typically what I would do in this person's case, if you're not the person who's going to do the intro meeting that stacks tons of value, and oh, by the way, this is anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000, but oh, here's some more value. People are just like overwhelmed with value, where they're like, holy crap, right? And so in your case, what's done is already done, but here's what I would do so this never happens to you again, where you create the intrigue like that. If you're going to meet with him before, so let's zoom in right here, and let's see, is that your phone? Let's see, I've got a few people off of mute here. Here, I'm gonna mute everybody, and then go ahead and come back off of mute, Chuck. Okay, there we go. Had a couple of people off there. Okay, so here's what we do. So if you are going to go directly to a meeting with him, like this is what I do. For example, I just did this on Monday, where I met with a lady for 20 minutes. That's it. Like, I will literally keep it super short. I usually would schedule these for 15 minutes, but sometimes I would go like 2 to 3 minutes over, and so I would kind of peek into the next 15-minute one. So I schedule these for 20 minutes, and I try to be done in 15 minutes to just get to know them. And this is where, like, I ask them about themselves. I ask them, how long have you? In fact, here, let's give you my template. So in this 15-minute, I call it more of like a briefing. In this 15-minute briefing, where I meet with people, I ask, how long have you been interested? I ask, what have you tried? What have you tried? This is good. So how long have you been interested? What have you tried? Oh, in fact, I should even add this one too. The first one I ever ask is, tell me about yourself. Oops, tell me about yourself, because I'm looking for Woody talks about the drive system, the different things that are important to them. So I open-endedly just say, tell me about yourself. And I just listen for cues of the first thing that comes to their mind. And so I say, tell me about yourself. How long have you been interested? What have you tried? And from there, because now they're talking. Whenever they ask me to talk, I tell a story. That's it. I don't talk price. I don't say Renatus. I don't say like nothing. Like, this is just to build the intrigue, right? The purpose is to book these people to an intro. Make sense? You still with me, Chuck?
Yeah, I'm still here. So you don't give them
Okay,
the
cool.
disclaimer on the first meeting, on the briefing anyways?
Nope, I don't.
Oh, okay.
On the very first one, I don't, because they don't know. Like, they don't know anything about what they're gonna, what we're talking about. I mean, literally, I'm just like having a get to know you, situation. So I ask them all these questions, and if they and the cool thing about asking questions is oftentimes they will tell you exactly what your next question can be. Because if you just sit there and be a genuinely interested person, then the things that they will tell you, then you'll be like, oh man, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or wow, like, that's super cool. Like, when did you try when did you try that? Or how did that turn out? Or things like that. And so all of these things lead to more questions for you. So, you could spend a good 5 to 7 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, just asking them questions and leading the conversation that way. By these three main: how long you've been doing this? Tell me about yourself. What have you tried already? Yeah, and then you ask them a few more questions. And then when they start asking you, then you tell them a story. And so, for example, obviously at this point in my career, I have my own stories. But in fact, Chuck, have you done a deal already yet?
No, I haven't done a deal yet.
Okay. So the story that you're going to tell is someone else's story. Yeah, this is why I love Renatus. Because of the currencies, we all know these 5 currencies. Let me change gears here really fast. We all know the 5 currencies of: first currency is time. Second currency is knowledge, being in the know. Third currency is relationships. Fourth currency is credibility. And last, 5th currency is money. Going from most valuable to least valuable. And so one of the reasons I love Renatus is because credibility it's tough. It's tough to build if you don't have that previous experience. And so in Renatus, you have the ability to leverage other people's credibility, right? We all talk about using other people's money, other people's mortgages, other people's time. With Renatus, you get to leverage other people's credibility because you are in a nationwide network, right? Chuck, you and I, Chuck, have never known each other, or never met each other, but you can still leverage my credibility or anybody else's credibility that you meet in Renatus meetings and whatever, right? So what you'll do is tell someone else's story. So someone's story. And you can say, like, I'm learning with this person. And so you can be like, I get on. So whatever meetings you jump on, like if you're Monday through Thursday on the morning calls, then you can tell Michael's story. You can tell Bill Predabon's story. I mean, Bill has flipped hundreds of homes in his career, doing this for the last, more than a decade, right? And so you start telling someone else's story, and then you start building your own credibility, saying, like, I'm working with this person on a regular basis. Like, we meet once a week, and then you start being like, oh, you tell someone else's story. Be like, yeah, and this guy, Michael Huggins, this guy is doing like I don't even know how to say this, but forest acquisitions. There you go. That sounds amazing. Doing forest acquisitions where where they're turning, you know, raw land into vacation space for people to come and get off grid, but also learn about, you know, anyway. So you go off and you start telling people's story, you know, using other people's money, using other people's time. And so this naturally is going to start building your own credibility, because you can say, yeah, like I'm just getting started, but dude, look at this team that I'm putting together of people. And so you tell a story, whether it's a deal story or whether it's like an accomplishment story, where like, yeah, this person's done, you know, millions of dollars in real estate, whatever. Okay. So anyway, so in that, what's the guy's name that you met with again? Let's actually use names here.
Header.
Header, like Heter.
Yeah, something like that.
Like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So Header. Okay. So with Header, had you done something like this, where you ask him about himself, how long has he tried, you would probably know that he would have paid, you know, for other things like that. You would have known, or you would have known a little bit more about that mentor. Like again, because he said like, oh yeah, like I got a mentor, I'd have been, bing, another question, because he would have said, and so I'd be like, cool, tell me more about that, right? Like, and then if he said Nevada LLC, like, man, where did you get that idea from, or about the Nevada LLC, right? You don't want to make him wrong. That's the last thing you want to do. But you say, yeah, tell me more about that. Like, how did you learn about the Nevada LLC and stuff like that, okay? And so then as he starts asking you, instead of going to like a website, be like, yeah, like look at this website that I'm, you know, I paid to be a part of this. You start telling real stories, right? One of the highest or best selling features of Renatus is you can look anywhere, and we have so many stories of people that have had success. I mean, they are everywhere. Jump online. There's like 120 some odd reviews now that Renatus has pumped out that we can all go and listen to, and just have stories as quivers in, you know, quivers in our belt, or whatever we're going to call that, quivers, arrows in our quiver, that we can just chime off and have a story for anything that will relate to that person. And then from here, because we're like, oh shoot, I gotta go, we got 15, you know, we only had 15 minutes. So at that 15-minute mark, you say, tell you what, man, I'd be really curious to know. So here's my next thing, because this makes them feel important. I'd be really curious to know what you think. About the people I'm working with. Yeah, is this helpful? Let's jump back over here.
Yeah, that's actually really helpful, because like I knew all that and I like totally forgot it when I got into the meeting.
Yeah, no worries, brother. No worries. You,
like,
in fact, it was so funny. Oh no, dude, no worries, dude. And don't feel dumb either. Like it was so funny. I was able to spend my Saturday, just this last Saturday, over in Chicago with the row team, and one of the questions that Nancy asked me while I was up on stage and getting introduced, she pointed to me and she's like, so Daine, how long did you suck? And I was like, I was totally like taken off guard for it. I was like, wait, what do you mean? How long did I suck? She's like, how long did it take you until you actually felt like you were doing like good? And I was like, you know what? Like it was a while. It was quite a while where I didn't feel like I was proficient, because I didn't have enough practice yet. And so don't feel bad. Like, this is no reason to quit, ever. Absolutely ever. There's no reason to quit when something doesn't go perfectly as planned. It's just like, cool, like here's where I can see an opportunity, and here's where I'm going to get better. And so from there, you know, you ask them questions, you tell them a story, inspire them, and then you say, I'd be really curious to know what you think about the people I'm working with. In fact, they're doing a meeting, right? And don't say they do it every week. I say they're doing another meeting. It's going to be on Zoom on Thursday at, let's see, I'm not sure if your time zone is different, maybe 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Utah time, maybe 8 o'clock your time. I believe, unless you're the same time as we are. But, and then you just say, yeah, like if I were to send you a link to that, you know, could you watch it? You know, I'll be on there as well, but could you jump on there with me at 7 p.m. on Thursday, or, you know, whatever time it is. And then if they say yes, then you say, cool, I'll get you a link. And then I say, and so they say yes, and I say, cool, is there anything you need to check on before I send you the link? And then they say, nope, I can make it. All right, cool. So I'll see you there at 7 p.m. Right? So then I say a couple of yeses. And then I say, oh, it's probably going to be, let's see, how long is his intro? Probably 2 hours, something like that. If I were to guess, I'd say probably 2 hours. I'd say, cool, it's probably going to be like 2 hours. Is that going to be okay that evening, you know, for you to block off that amount of time? And then he'll say yes. So then he says yes 3 times, bam, bam, bam. And then he'll show up and he'll be there for the whole time. And you jump on as well with him. You could either jump on, like meet up with him and be like, hey, let's watch this like side by side together, or you just jump on and say, yeah, I'll be on there from my home too, from the comfort of my home, whatever. Okay. You do this, and you let someone like Richard Stock build all that value, and then he says, oh, it's anywhere from 2 to 20,000 to work with us, and then value, and then you a bam fam. Your business will go much better this week by doing this very thing. Fair enough?
Yeah, that sounds fair. My wife made a good point to just kind of relax when I go to the meeting. She says I kind of get tense.
Oh yeah. If you're anything like me, you know, which sounds like you and I have some similarities, where just like meeting new people and going out and networking and you know, for lack of a better term, cold calling, it's not really like in our comfort zone to do stuff like that. Am I accurate?
Hey, this is his wife. And
yeah.
When he gets into meetings, he completely locks up and he forgets everything he's supposed to talk about.
Yeah.
And
so
I tell him,
the
just think
best
about
way,
it. You go in there, think about this is your best friend, your brother, whoever.
Oh yeah.
Talk to them as such. And I tell him, you see me when I work my Young Living business, I go in there, I have my energy up, and I start talking to them about the weather or whatever. You don't jump in and I say, hey, here's our product. As you start warming them up, start, you know, really kind of who they are, what they're passionate about, and then get into the product after you get all that figured out.
Totally. And the nice thing is that is not a born like characteristic that people have. It's a skill that people develop. So everybody can learn it. Absolutely everybody. So, this is awesome. And so I hope, in fact, we're like 40 minutes into this. So I'm gonna say this was really good. And I'm gonna say this is probably a lot of people needed to hear this. When you're doing those intro briefings, if you're doing them live like that and not using like a video funnel, then this is the best way that it's ever worked for me. I will book these throughout the week, you know, so far this week, I've already done 4 of these 15-minute briefing calls where I schedule 20 minutes. I try to finish in 15, and all it does, I never talk price. I never talk Renatus. I never talk anything. I just book them to a meeting, right? I book them to an intro meeting. And like your wife said, and sorry, I didn't catch her name, but like your wife said, one of the things that really helped me was right before I was going to go meet somebody, I would sit there and I would think about them in my mind, and you know, I would almost like talk to their, you know, I would consider myself a spiritual person. I would think of myself talking to their spirit like, man, I love you. I want to do good by you, by just showing you the value that I've seen and help you see it as well. And if it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, great. At least you now know, right? And if you've ever seen my box training, if they go into your not interested box, that's totally fine. We love those people. But just think of yourself like, man, I'm doing this out of love. In fact, if you have ever read the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, this was one of the very first personal development books I ever read. Greatest Salesman in the World. Chuck, I would absolutely recommend this book if you have not read it. Greatest Salesman in the World. And the guy's name is Og. I think it's only one G.
Rana, my wife, she does the same thing. She talks to their spirit. That's my first time of actually hearing it.
Yeah. So totally look up this book if you have not read it yet, and read it. It's, you know, this book will actually, this book will change your life. Absolutely change your life. So cool. Well, let's go ahead and call that a day. I feel like that was a good enough training to break down my briefing, my 15-minute briefing, to get people to come to an intro. And this is basically my template. This is what I do every single time I meet somebody. Give them 15 minutes of my time. Even if I had an hour, to sit down with somebody, I would still say, cool, let's meet for 20 minutes. And I would try to wrap it up in 15 with an appointment to make it to the intro meeting. Cool? All right, let me check comments, make sure, check comments here real fast and make sure we've got, okay. Go ahead. Sorry, you're breaking up so bad, I'm not sure. So sorry, Sandra. I'm not sure if it's just me or if this is if everybody else can hear this, but you're super choppy. I can't even make out any words that you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Keely. Yeah, I can't make it out. Maybe Sandra, type into the chat, and I'll try and answer your question. But let's see, Jeremy. Oh, you know what? See, Jeremy, can you go back to my earlier notes? Or let me zoom all the way out here. So take a picture of that if you want, screenshot it. If you can see all that, I think you should be able to, yeah, take a screenshot of that. You should be able to zoom in and capture all that. So there's my 15-minute, this is my one-on-one briefing that I only want to spend about 15 minutes with them. And by using this template, I can't say I have ever not had somebody come or at least commit to coming to a briefing. Because if you say it like this, then it doesn't raise any flags in their mind. I've never had anybody ask me price. I've never had anybody, ask more questions. That like there's so much intrigue because I tell a story basically, where they're like, cool, I want to do that too, right? Usually when you tell a story, people think of themselves as the hero in the story. I mean, that's just how it works. This is why we love watching movies, because oftentimes you can relate with the main character in one way or another. And so you tell a story like this and they're like, man, like I can totally relate. I want to do that. So I cannot think of a single time where somebody's like, yeah, I don't think I want to come to that, by doing it this way. All right. So Jeremy said, would it be safe to say that he had the option for a BAM fam when the guest said that he could talk Friday by saying what time and getting that solid? Yes. Oh, yeah, you know what? Sorry, Chuck, I totally forgot to talk about how we're going to try and backpedal with this guy. So with this guy, he's probably thinking like, yeah, we're done. Like I'm not doing that. So Chuck, one thing as well, to try and save this, I would just try to talk to him and tell him a story, right? Because we've already probably turned him off a little bit because of price. Like in his mind, he's already like, yeah, not enough value, and he's asking for money. So now it's just time to tell stories. If we're gonna try and save this at all, tell him a story. Because with a story, nobody can argue with it. With a story, like nobody can be like, oh no, like no, this really happened, right? With a story, it's going to inspire him a little bit and help him realize like actual results. Because he wouldn't have reached out to you if he wasn't interested in the first place. And so I would find a story that you feel like, because you, out of all of us on this call, you know him best out of all of us. So I would say, start learning other people's stories. If you can already think of somebody's story, then call him up, text him, I don't care. Figure out a way to be like, dude, I just met this person, or oh my gosh, I just saw this guy break down step by step how he, whatever, or how she. We got a bunch of very, very successful lady investors in our community as well. So it doesn't matter. Break down somebody's story. Cool. All right, Teresa, I think it was you that was trying to say something, and I totally could not hear. It was really, really choppy. So I hadn't seen anything. Let's see, Daine, before we leave the meeting, can you show the slide? Yes. So here's my 15-minute one-on-one briefing template. I do the same every single time. In fact, here, let me get rid of some of this stuff so that we can take better pictures, because I drew through some of these things. All right.
Hey, Daine.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
So one thing for Chuck, with the guy he's working with, wanting to do wholesaling, we've got a lot of people in our community that are only doing wholesaling, like Mike Kessler.
Oh, yeah.
And Jared Brenchley. And Mike has built a huge wholesale. He had been doing this for years before he even got involved with our community. But he's actually grown his business and done more deals since getting involved.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Chuck, look up Mike Kessler or Jared Brenchley. Yeah, both of those guys, and so Mike joined, and you could even just formulate a story from just that information. Mike Kessler had already done 90 some odd real estate transactions as an investor before ever buying Renatus. And he, his first year after joining Renatus made an extra 6 figures than he had made the year prior, just because he joined Renatus. And then Jared Brenchley, he was much like ourselves, never ever done any real estate deals, came in and struggled, much like myself, trying to figure out how this even works, how to even buy a house. And and he's turned himself into an animal when it comes to wholesaling properties. I mean, he knows what he's doing now. So went from zero to hero basically because of Renata. Done some really cool stuff. So I mean, just even those two stories right there tell the story, talk about how they're a member of our community, and how you could even figure out a way to get him in contact with them, because we're all part of the Facebook group. So there, I mean, there's ways to get in contact with real life people that are actually doing it. So tell them some stories. All right. Oh, you know what I haven't checked yet is Facebook comments. Go ahead. And then we got to wrap up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nominees.
All right.
Wrong.
All right, cool. Well, great training today, guys. I had different things in mind, but you know what? This was great. Absolutely great. So have a great rest of your Wednesday, Wealth Wednesday, and get at it. And I'll see you all next week.
Daine. Hey, Daine, can you type their names real quick? Those two folks, so we can look them up.
Oh,
on
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Let's see. So if I jump into the chat, so Mike Kessler and Jared. Oh, sorry, I sent it to just everybody. Jared Brenchley to everyone. And those are just two. I mean, we got tons of people, absolutely tons of people that could do this. So, all right, cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good one, and love you all. See you next week.